Presented by Think Outside the Vox and Silent Rhythms.
Hi, I'm Kerry Thompson. I am very excited to introduce this model on inclusion and accessibility for people who are deaf-blind at the theater and at the museum. This model will focus on what venue staff can do to make the experience more accessible and enjoyable for people who are deaf-blind.
What should venue staff know about the deaf-blind community?
So for people who are deaf-blind, you need to think about the spectrum of their deafness. So the deafness could be that they are hard of hearing, they could be fully deaf, they could be somebody who is using a cochlear implant or a hearing aid. For the blind spectrum, you have to understand that there are people who are fully blind or low vision. And within those two spectrums, that it's possible that their spectrums will change over the course of their lifetime. It is important to ask, what does one need?
What should people know about white canes?
A white cane is universally recognized as a tool being used by someone who is visually impaired. They may be blind or low vision, so one should not assume that someone holding a white cane is fully blind. Some people are low vision who have some good central vision, but lack peripheral vision and need to use a white cane to help. One should never touch a person's white cane or try to move it to help guide them.
What should venue staff know about service animals?
You should never pet the animal. You should never try to feed the animal. You should not interact or try to make eye contact with the animal. If you want, you can offer some assistance to the handler, such as pointing to where they can get some water for their animal. It's important that you're also mindful that service animals will need to have a place to relieve themselves. So be aware of what area a service animal can go. And it's important that it is clear what is the best place for the service animal within the theater. You would ask the handler of the service animal, do they prefer to be seated near the aisle or away from the aisle? It's important that the handler understands the flow of traffic.
What is tactile communication and how does it work?
To help me demonstrate some tactile ways of communicating, I'm going to ask my sign language interpreter to approach me. The first thing my interpreter did was put her hand on my shoulder. That tells me that she is there. She is next going to skim her hand down my arm so that we can connect with our hands. The first method of communicating through tactile communication is something called tracking. If they're using sign language and can't see if it's down here, the tracking helps move the hand in the position of the window. So a person with low vision would see both the hand and the face at the same time. My interpreter is going to sign, how are you? So I just put the window over her face and kept the hand right here on her wrist. And that is me putting the signing all into one window. For some people who are no longer or never were able to see visually sign language, we use tactile sign language. And tactile sign language is putting the hand on top of the person's hand. So my interpreter is going to demonstrate signing, how are you? And my hand, as you noted, is still on top of her hand and not on her wrist like tracking was. That's the difference. I am actually feeling what she's signing. I am not using my eyesight. So how are you? For tactile communication, one can also fingerspell. So she's going to fingerspell into my hand. H, I, hi. Then there's another form. It's not sign language, but it is a form of trying to give information about the environment or what people are doing or saying or feeling. And that is a form called ProTactile. So my interpreter is going to put her hand on my shoulder. And you can do this on the side of the arm or on the back of a person. Sometimes when seated side by side, you can also do ProTactile on one person's lap. And the different thing that you can do for ProTactile, one would be if people are smiling, you do a little smiley face. If people are sad or angry, you would do sort of a frowny face. If people are laughing, you do this sort of tickling motion. So people are laughing, ha ha ha. If a person has a question, you would raise your finger up. And you can raise it up on the right side or the left side if using the back of a person's back to indicate which side of the room the person is asking that question. If one is leaving and saying goodbye, there's two different farewell ProTactile. One is I'm leaving and I'll be right back. To do that is a little sort of a 7 shape. I am leaving, but I'll be right back. If you are leaving and not going to be back for a while or we won't see each other for a long time, you sign leave. And this is actually the American sign for leaving. It's sort of like you're grabbing and picking up your stuff. With ProTactile, you just do one hit. So I know that my interpreter is leaving. The other thing to know about ProTactile and tactile communication is that a deafblind individual may make modification for their own specific requirement and access support.
How do you approach a person who is deafblind?
If you don't know sign language or don't know if the deafblind person knows sign language, the first thing you would do is as you walk towards them, put your hand on their shoulder. That tells me that there is someone there. You may try using your voice to identify yourself.
Hi, Kerry. This is Ingrid.
The thing, if you want to give like a greeting and you want to shake my hand, offer your hand. Hello, nice to meet you. Putting your hand back on my shoulder tells me that you are still there, that you haven't walked away. If you want to hand me an object, such as a playbill, you would touch it to my hand, and then I would know that there's an object coming towards me. To offer guidance to perhaps to enter a room or to go towards a seat, you would offer your elbow. But remember, don't offer your elbow out in space and hoping that somebody is going to grab it. Pressing your elbow to my arm tells me that the elbow is there so I can easily reach for it. If someone is with a sight guide or a sign language interpreter, you can also wait for them to realize that you are there trying to approach. So you can wave to the sign language interpreter to say, I would like to come. The sign language interpreter can then sign to the deafblind individual to say someone wants to talk to you. So someone wants to talk to me? Oh, you will there. Yes, or hi. And you would approach. The sight guide could also say verbally to the deafblind person,
Hi, Kerry. Someone wants to talk to you. They're to your left.
if there is a sign language interpreter or a sight guide or another individual, a family member, a friend, or a spouse, speak directly to the individual. I know sometimes you may think, well, they cannot see me, but the interaction, that's the part about inclusion. You want to make that person feel included.
A special thank you to the following organizations: the Sudbury Foundation, Open Door Theatre, the Discovery Museum, and the Mass Cultural Council.